Welcome to another episode of Base News Network. I am Punk Revolution Now, here with Sophie, aka joan.of.arca. Say hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Hello. We're actually going to be recording this episode both with the audio, as you would expect, but also we're doing a video. I guess we'll probably put it on YouTube or something. We'll figure it out later. So just find it on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. But regardless, thank you for joining us. We have an episode packed with various thingies. Sophie, how about we start the episode talking about the Bass Pro Shop Alabama incident.
All right. So, a man in his 40s in Alabama, in Leeds, Alabama, was naked. He jumped into the fish tank of a Bass Pro Shop. Apparently, that's a thing I didn't know about. I know that Bass Pro Shop is known for its dioramas and stuff like that. Like, that's part of the shopping experience. But I didn't know about any fish tanks, but I guess that's a thing. Anyway, it's quite deep. He jumped into the fish tank naked, started yelling and being crazy in there. The police came, I think because, he already crashed right into the building or a pillar. I think he crashed into a pillar before he went into the water.
He crashed his car into the...
His family was in it too.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently.
He crashed his car into the building, into something. He crashed his car into something. It doesn't matter what. The point is he got out of the car, was completely naked, and then jumped into the tank, the fish tank / aquarium of the Bass Pro Shop.
And the cops came. He got out of the water and started yelling at them, then dived in again, and then he somehow jumped or fell out of the aquarium onto the floor, where he became unconscious because it's quite a drop. And I'm honestly surprised he didn't have more serious injuries from that. Could that not have killed him? That is a long drop.
It was a long drop, but he landed directly on his head, right? It looks like it did. I mean, he went unconscious.
Kind of on his head and face, face down almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what? How did that not?
I mean, I don't think falling, because it looked like a 12-foot drop.
I mean, yes, but you can fall from
Can you die from falling 12 feet? Probably if you hit your head right. People fall.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
standing on the floor.
My friend fell while skateboarding and he almost died. So if you can fall from literally off your own feet, then
I just think I'm just surprised he wasn't more injured. Maybe he was and we didn't see, but his mugshot came out. They escorted him out. At first he was unconscious. They tried to handcuff him, and then he woke up and started flailing around, and it was quite a struggle to actually get him handcuffed. And they had to drag him out. It's a pretty crazy scene. And
So and this went viral.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's
why we're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Because this took place in Alabama, and let's be real.
Least eventful day in Alabama.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It went. I mean, yeah. So it sounds like from the police reports, he was on drugs.
I think his family says he has some serious mental health issues. Clearly, the man is not well, which makes me feel a little bit bad about it going viral. I mean, first of all, though, how could it not go viral? You know what I mean? That's something that you can't just ignore. It's going to be talked about. But I don't know. I feel sympathy for people with serious mental illness.
Of course.
This is something that when people are suffering from serious mental health issues, especially those that are that include hallucinations and psychotic episodes, stuff like that. This stuff definitely happens a lot. And I guess now now that everyone has phones, they can just record these moments and then broadcast them on social media.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, and I don't want to be completely on my high horse about this, because I admit that I found the video to be like entertaining. The story is just outrageous, so it is kind of like mildly entertaining to be like, oh wow, that's crazy, you know what I mean? But I do feel a little bad about it. It's just something that like is not meant to be seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel, and because it always goes viral, and of course it's gonna go viral, but I think like it's okay to like, things are gonna go viral. It's not like, oh my god, you should feel ashamed of yourself for being entertained by this objectively outrageous clip. But I think you can tell from the way people like comment and share on it that like the understanding of mental, and it's not just this specific video, it's like so many videos of someone who's clearly having a psychotic episode going viral, and everyone's in the comments like, OMG, this Karen is so crazy, or whatever. There's, you know what I mean, like shameful. And
and I've heard a friend of mine say that Rain Fisher Kwan has talked about this like a couple years ago, or I don't remember when she was talking about it, but she was basically saying that people these days talk about mental health, like talk about supporting mental health, but then when people who are dealing with mental health issues do not adhere to like socially acceptable like ideas of like morality and like polite behavior, if they do something that is wrong or not like a sanitized version of like what you might think of depression, right? You know what I mean? Like
jumping in a pool
yes,
naked.
Exactly. When this stuff happens, we are reluctant to give grace and understanding to these people, because the way that like their mental illness is expressed is not and it's not like something that we can easily maybe even relate to, you know what I mean? If we don't have those specific types of mental issues, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mental illness is not like a sanitary, like easy thing. It comes out in very ugly ways, I think, is her point. And we got to recognize that. But of course, sorry.
Yeah. And to be fair, even though it's kind of entertaining, like we actually don't want people doing this. You know what I mean? Like we don't want people jumping naked into these pools.
Right.
Even though it's kind of funny, because we want people to get treated before they get to that point.
Yes, indeed. So, I mean, and I do want to say though, something I did enjoy about this is the image of him lying down on the ground. I thought was like strangely beautiful, like a painting.
That's messed up.
Okay. I mean, if there's anything positive out of it, it's like it's a really beautiful image.
That is disturbing.
If it were painted, if it weren't real, maybe if it weren't actually real, I don't know. I found the image to be compelling, is what I mean.
Okay, that's fair. It's a visually it was a very visually stunning thing. Like, but I didn't like seeing it though, because I don't like seeing naked people on social media.
True.
I'm tired of seeing penis. Every single day I go on the internet, I see a penis. And we're going to talk more about that.
This being
in a later episode. This is a big thing we talk about lately.
Yeah.
Every day I open up my Twitter and I see a penis. And
there's a lot of nudity.
I call Sophie, I'm screaming and crying, saying, it happened again.
There's a lot of nudity right now on social media, probably because X has just gone off the rails. And also, I think movies are trying so hard to push the boundaries these days. It's getting into cringe territory.
But why are they not showing vagina?
They did in Poor Things, which we will be talking about.
We're going to be talking about vaginas. Well, we're going to be talking about Poor Things later.
They actually have kind of been showing that in the past, but
maybe they should just show none of it. I'm not a prude, but they should show none of it.
No, I'm not a prude either. It feels kind of dumb.
Name one penis you have seen in a movie that you felt happy to see.
think about that.
The Bass Pro Shops was a stimulating visual experience.
Not that one. You couldn't really see it.
Well, I was gonna say with the Bass Pro Shop guy, it's good that people. It's really awesome when people with mental illness who aren't getting the help they need do this instead of like shoot a bunch of people.
That's true, because this is
a step in the right direction.
Pretty God,
we're
pretty innocuous compared to some things that could happen. Of course,
no one got hurt at this.
No one got hurt
besides
except
the man and his family, and
also the children.
And the
if
children
if there are children who had to see that, the trauma of seeing that probably is not great. But
if they watch freaking a movie nowadays, they're gonna see the same thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just like a
America
crazy story.
America
classic
is
America
progressing.
Story.
we had a bunch of shootings. Now we're getting to diving into a pool naked, and then we're almost to getting to healthcare. So then these things don't happen in the first place. We're slowly getting in the right direction.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, it's definitely
another Joe Biden win.
True.
Because of the gun control, he passed.
Oh God. Okay.
He did something. I think he did something with gun control. Everyone, Google it. Did he do something? I think he did. I think there was something. We should know this because we're the news.
Yeah. True.
And this is why America is the best country.
Yeah, like I said, this is an average day in Alabama.
This thing could only happen in either Alabama or Brazil.
Or Florida.
They're in Florida, someone would have gotten hurt.
This is just like a regular Monday in Florida.
Yes. And it went viral. Mm-hmm. So, thank you, Alabama, for existing. People might make fun of Alabama as a state, but despite the fact that they are a fascist state, we still love you a little bit.
Yeah. So, hopefully this man has been charged with a lot of things. Hopefully he gets the help he needs.
Oh, you sweet, sweet summer child.
What?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's not getting any help.
I probably not, which is really sad. I'm wishing that on him. I hope that this has a positive outcome.
What if he's actually a really bad person?
That's possible too. I don't know. I hope
we have big hearts.
Yeah, I guess.
So we see someone like suffering and we feel bad for them.
No, it's true. It's true.
No, seriously.
It's just like I do hope. I mean, who knows what kind of person this person is? We don't know, but I hope that this person clearly needs some mental health treatment.
I don't think Alabama knows what mental health is.
Good point.
All right.
And he's, I think he's out on bond, so he's no longer in jail, but he could be facing some time. So hopefully someone intervenes and helps out. I don't think. I mean, America, like you said, America is not the greatest place in the world for that. So, especially down south. So,
I wonder what percentage of crimes or arrests or whatever you want to call it fall under the category of person with like severe mental health issue having a breakdown, and that crime wouldn't have been committed if they just had enough Zoloft in their system and therapy.
Wow.
Because I know this is a big question, is like, how do we stop? Because a lot of times when people go to prison and then they're released, they usually end up back in prison.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we like get them to stop going back to prison? And it's like one thing that's like a lot of people study is like, can we help them get jobs? Can we help them get training or whatever, so they maybe can leave prison and then get into the workforce, and maybe that'll prevent them from committing more crime and then going back to prison or whatever. And there's not very many successful stories in terms of like these programs working and stopping people. There's a word for it, rescinding, whatever. They're stopping them from going back to prison.
Like a cycle type situation.
There's a word for when you go to prison and
reoffending.
Yeah, that works.
I've heard that a lot.
Okay,
reoffending.
But so the one thing that there is actual research that shows helps is when the people who enter prison enter a program of getting cognitive behavioral therapy, because then they can actually work on techniques and stuff like that to help them when they encounter challenges in their life to mentally be able to address those problems in healthier, more productive ways, so they're not like just in a constant messed up cycle. So that's actually really good. It's a really good sign that like at least something is working. And when people talk about like, oh, America has a mental health problem and that's why there's so much crime in America, like it's not entirely bullcrap. Like there seems to be something true to that. So obviously hiring a bunch of therapists for prisoners is like probably like extremely, we need like millions of therapists to do that. And I don't even know if that's practical, but it's probably cheaper than like just perpetually having people imprisoned, millions of people in prison, and then having them leave and then commit more crime and all that stuff. So just something to think about.
Yeah. So somehow we turned this Bass Pro Shop story into something
good.
Something good. A little more universal.
I like it.
It's a crazy story.
Speaking of universal, you know what else is universal?
What?
The desire to dig tunnels.
Okay.
Every boy wants to dig a tunnel.
Hey, don't ignore the girls. We like tunnels too.
What ratio of teenagers from boy to girl play Minecraft? It's probably
okay. A lot of girls play Minecraft, first of all.
Okay.
And have you ever heard of a secret passageway? That's the girl version of a tunnel.
Oh, girls have secret passageways.
Yeah.
They have Chamber of Secrets.
Yes.
They have the Chambers of Secrets. So every teenager loves tunnels.
Correct.
Or secrets or chambers or passageways.
Secret passageways.
Like Bridge to Terabithia or Coraline.
Yeah, like secret rooms, secret passageways, the 13 steps, all that kind of stuff.
I would like to formally apologize to the audience for making it about boys when clearly it's about every teenager. That was a sexism on my part. But this story does involve mostly men.
It does.
Maybe entirely men.
It does. It does entirely.
Because we're talking about what is this? So there's
so we're talking about the
Crown
tunnels
Heights.
that were uncovered, a dispute about tunnels in the Chabad headquarters and the world headquarters of the Chabad movement in Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
And this is like a community of Hasidic Jews.
Yes.
And they have a headquarters in Crown Heights. Mm-hmm. And this headquarters is it? I don't know. This Chabad headquarters.
It had a synagogue.
A synagogue. And there was a dispute.
Yes, there was a dispute. So apparently, according to a Chabad spokesperson, there was a group of yeshiva students who they labeled as extremists, who were maybe particularly...
I think they were punks. I don't think they're extremists. I think they were punks.
I mean, I don't know.
They were digging tunnels without the law's permission. They were obviously punk rock.
Yeah, I suppose so.
What did they do wrong?
I mean... I know like the Chabad is like organizations upset about them like
because they're the
messing
freaking
up
bureaucracy because they're the bureaucracy. And yes, digging tunnels is dangerous, and yes, you dig.
Well, you could say they were disrespecting the synagogue.
The youth is the future of the community. They get to say what's disrespectful and what's not. They were digging. Look. According to this article I have, Sophie and I have been reading a bunch of articles, and there's conflicting things. According to this article, they were digging because they wanted to get to a subterranean mikvah, which is a ritual bath. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I don't know if this actually exists. If there was a rumor that there was a mikvah, or if they knew there was one, so they wanted to dig a tunnel all the way to the ritual bath because they wanted to get closer to the spiritual, because they were so spiritual.
There was like I think there's a rabbi that they like really looked up to as like a spiritual leader, and apparently he used that mikvah or something like that. That's what I've been seeing some places, but we don't really know why this tunnel was made, so we can't really make any judgment on the tunnels itself, although like the Chabad like organizations like not happy about it, obviously.
It's vandalism. They're breaking the law. ignore the fact that it's awesome.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, okay, so we should probably hedge a little bit here. There's a chance that maybe once we get more information, maybe this tunnel is used for something like really awful. But I think the chances of that are very low, and I think it's much more
It's probably
likely.
innocuous and innocent, like
Teenagers love digging tunnels.
they do.
And they love breaking the rules.
I mean, it's not like ideal for like to mess up the synagogue or whatever, but I mean, yeah, it seems like a thing that like some like particularly zealous like teenage boys would do.
Yeah.
But a lot of right-wing people online and like conspiracy theorists have been taking the opportunity to create really ludicrous stories about what the tunnels are used for, getting into blood libel. They claimed that there were bloody mattresses in the tunnels, which is not true. Just like getting into the classic anti-Semitic stuff.
Don't be anti-Semitic,
Human
you
trafficking.
idiots.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that on Twitter. But
See,
the reason they were
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the reason that the police were there is because I think the police came to close up the tunnels.
Yeah.
And there were some students who were like trying to prevent that, and that's what happened. That's how they were arrested.
It was literally the most punk thing I've ever seen, because the leaders of the whatever you call it, I guess the synagogue, the leaders of the community wanted to close the tunnels because it was breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So they called the police to.
They were not happy about it.
They called the police. They wanted to fill the tunnels with concrete, which would have been, the right thing to do. But then you have a bunch of punk rock Hasidic Jews saying no to the bureaucracy and saying no to the law and saying we are going to dig our tunnels. So obviously I support the tunnels for now until we find out more news that might change my mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
One thing that was funny was that apparently they found out about these tunnels because like people were hearing like they were talking in their house or like their apartments.
Oh, in the walls. Yeah, I heard that too. That's crazy.
So they were clearly like really digging far. If they're,
I think they started during the pandemic. Like it's been a multiple year operation.
It makes me really sad that when people see this story, some idiots jump to anti-Semitic conspiracy theories instead of the obvious, most likely explanation,
which is
that we all love tunnels.
Yeah, and that like boys will be doing stuff like this.
Oh, boys! Just kidding.
I mean,
it was boys in this specific situation.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. We don't really know anything about it, but I mean, yeah, it just seems like teenage boys doing crazy stuff. But I do want to like be cautious because I don't know, like some members of the community like might view this as like being disrespectful or upsetting. You know what I mean?
The tunnels?
Yeah.
Because it's disrespecting like their religious.
Yeah, and their like synagogue.
Yeah, no, well, obviously, yeah, for sure. I would say this is like an internal dispute I have zero clue about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what this ritual bath is. I don't understand, like...
Oh,
I'm sure there's Hasidic Jews who think it's pretty badass, and I'm sure there's Hasidic Jews that find it really disrespectful. I obviously don't mean any disrespect. I'm just saying I think tunnels are pretty cool, and I think getting into a big fight with the police is pretty cool.
I have to agree with the tunnel. Like, anytime that a secret tunnel is discovered, it really piques my interest, and I get excited about the tunnel. So I'm fascinated by the story just by the fact that there was a tunnel.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I don't know. If there's a tunnel found anywhere, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like, I want to go in the tunnel.
And I hate to say it, but I think, I think another reason why this story is so explosive right now is because it seems like the demand for anti-Semitic conspiracy theories right now is a little bit higher than usual, to say the least.
That's true. And I mean, maybe members of the Chabad or like Chabad leadership are upset too, because this is only just fueling anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they put out a statement like talking about their disappointment and stuff like that, and like about the synagogue being like vandalized and stuff like that. So they're not happy about it.
Yeah, you know, I hate to say it. This is not going to sound punk. But if I were, you know, someone who actually had, you know, was actually a part of this community and attended the synagogue and participated, I probably would not be happy about the tunnels too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy story.
It's crazy.
It's a crazy story, just like the Bass Pro Shop thing.
You know, I think, you know, the anti-Semitism stuff really upsets me because like because I just know, like, I just remember my old middle school, like, or at every freaking school. You know, when there's like always like vandalism, there's always like, oh, we found like a hole in the bathroom wall. Let's just like gradually break it apart for years.
I feel like that's like a very innocent, like kind of like youthful fascination that transcends like communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, we don't know, but like to me, well, obviously that anti-Semitic stuff is bullshit. But second of all, like I think it was a pretty like innocent thing, probably. Yeah, but it doesn't negate the fact that it, you know, kind of messed some stuff up in the community. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds so like I could just imagine, like, because it seems like the people who are doing this were on the younger side.
They were between the ages of 19 and 21.
That's young.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I could so easily just imagine like a rumor going around like, yo, there's like a sacred like bath that we have to dig to. Like, yo, we got to like just chip away at this tunnel a little bit. Like, that sounds like it just captures your imagination. It sounds so fun. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So stop with the anti-Semitism and assume good intentions.
True. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, the mikveh thing is interesting because it's not like that's like a common thing, you know? So, but I think it's special because like it was used by some specific like religious leader that they really admired, and that was why.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it is even, you know, like real.
Well, I haven't seen reports of it in I only saw the one that you sent me. I saw it in that one. So
who knows? Maybe it's just literally just it just captured their imagination.
Like I saw things that they're trying to expand the synagogue, but I mean, but the question is like why? You know what I mean? Like why would you want? So because
it's fun.
There's something going. Yeah, we don't know.
We'll see.
Something I think pretty innocent is going on.
Something interesting and fun is going on, and honestly, one of the most punk stories I've seen all year.
Okay.
There's cool videos of them fighting the cops. That's all I'm saying.
It is cool.
All right, Soph.
All right.
Good conversation about some epic tunnels. Now we're going to talk about another epic New Yorker.
Oh.
Because the tunnel story took place in Brooklyn.
In Crown Heights, right?
Yeah.
Well, the honorary New Yorker, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, we have some updates on her since her departure from prison. She has been doing press in New York City. She went to Times Square where she shared some selfies and videos, and she's been everywhere and doing everything, talking about, she saw a Broadway show. I think she saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Why didn't anyone warn her about seeing Harry Potter?
I don't think she's definitely not aware of the discourse, but I'm sure she soon will be.
She will soon.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you miss in prison.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's of course been dominating the news. I think people have calmed down about like her becoming famous thing. Like I think people have chilled out about that. But yeah, she's been doing tons of press, posting on Instagram like all the time, which I mean I'm enjoying.
Shout out to Ryan.
Ryan's just always there. Her husband's just always there supporting her.
Ryan's got a fire D.
Yeah. Oh, Right.
So Sophie, I don't know what that means. So explain to me what happened.
All right. So I don't have this pulled up. I do want to
All right.
pull it up.
You pull it up. I'll fill the microphone space with my own nonsense. So let's talk about how fly Ryan looks in his epic glasses. He looks exactly like Peter Griffin, and there's no reason to deny it. And also, people say it's offensive for me to compare him to Peter Griffin, and I say, what's offensive about it? Literally nothing. Peter Griffin is an icon, and so is Ryan, as far as we know, as far as we can tell.
Yeah. All right. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard commented on a selfie of her husband, saying, "Ryan, don't listen to the haters. I love you and you love me. We do not owe anyone anything. Our family is who matters. If you get likes and good comments, great. If you get hate, then whatever, because they don't matter. I love you. Besides, they jealous because you are rocking my world every night. Yeah, I said it. The D is fire. Happy wife, happy life." Clearly, she has not been versed in social media. She's still learning. She's still learning. I mean, good for her, I guess. Like, maybe a little too much information, but maybe something that could have been said in person or in a text message to her husband, because that is her husband. But it's kind of cute. It's cute. It's like
they're defending each other, you know?
Yeah, it's like those high school couples who were like oversharing on social media and being like really lovey-dovey on social media, you know, to like an uncomfortable extent. That's like who puts like, it's been 685 days with you, and like, you know what I mean, like those people were like, and they put like the date that they got together in their bio, and then like
well, Ryan's bio on Instagram is literally like, Gypsy Rose, love of my life, whatever.
Like it's like, and I don't know about him, but it seems like Gypsy Rose Blanchard has, well, first of all, she didn't really have a childhood, and then she spent 8 years of her life, she was already an adult when she went to prison. I mean, she also spent her life thinking she was younger than she actually was, because her mother like changed her birth certificate to make it seem like she was like several years younger than she actually was. So she didn't have a childhood. She didn't know her real age. She spent 8 years in prison, basically up till into her 30s in prison. And, you know, during this time, she had Facebook when she was right before she went to prison, like, or she was on there, but you know, that's kind of where her knowledge of social media stopped. You know what I mean? So like, she hasn't been
She's learning.
She's not aware of like the customs and
I have
like
a couple
conduct,
things.
but yeah.
Okay, so I really hate to say it and be that guy. I really do. But don't you think it's a little bit possible that maybe, you know, marrying someone who you've really only communicated through prison, like letters and stuff like that, and then you come out of prison and your life is like radically different than it ever was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like not like, I hate to be that guy, I mean, it's so mean, but maybe it's like not the best move. You know what I mean?
No, I mean that is what people have been saying. I think that's why she made that comment.
Yeah. She's saying screw the haters because the D is fire.
I mean, amen, sister. Okay, just kidding. But yeah, I agree. I mean, none of us actually know what the relationship is like. I mean, they've been communicating for multiple years through prison. Any prison relationship is probably difficult to maintain and develop for obvious reasons. And you're right. Like, she is released from prison and then is immediately made a celebrity. And I'm sure that could put a strain on any relationship, especially one where this is like the first time you guys have been like together in person, you know? So it's probably quite challenging. And I'm sure this, like, I know we were kind of critical of people like being overly annoying about her, people talking about her on social media and like treating her like she's famous. But I'm sure like if she's not careful or people aren't careful, like harm could be done.
I will say, this is the thing that's kind of surprising to me is that, I feel like Gypsy's release from prison is actually living up to and exceeding the hype. Because everybody was excited about it, but it could have just been like a fun thing everyone talks about for a day where she's released and that's fun. But no, she is actually genuinely a very entertaining media figure.
She is.
It's so because she's such an interesting person. Because you're right, she like her maturity is like somewhat stunted because of her childhood and she went to prison.
I mean, she's very like intelligent. You can tell.
Yeah.
Like she's adult in many ways, but like I'm sure like her pop culture knowledge and like social media knowledge must be like super stunted.
And also too, she has a little bit of like she. It's not like she lived in a bubble when she was in prison. Like she made friends in prison.
Yeah.
She picked up like prison lingo and body language, and like she is someone who's also deeply shaped by like going to prison and all like in a serious way too. So it's not like she's like completely just 8 years disappeared from her life.
No, you're right. It's just, I mean, being in prison is a very unique experience that. Well, she says she felt more free in prison, which makes sense.
Being in prison is unique. Her childhood is obviously very unique, and her life outside of prison is obviously very unique.
Right.
So to me, it's like kind of like amazing that despite all these weird things, like whenever she's posting on social media, it's stuff that's actually juicy and entertaining and funny, and I'm enjoying it.
I think she's definitely gotten some media training.
She knows what she's doing.
Like I think people are helping her with that. Good. I think that's good because.
Yeah.
I mean, as a person of her caliber and with, being kind of isolated, like that is, I think that's outside.
Oh, okay.
I think that is probably a good thing for her to have. But she's doing all this press primarily to promote her new docuseries coming out for Lifetime. The prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And she's also releasing, I think it's an ebook. It might be a physical book too about it. Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. I kind of want to watch it. I don't know. I don't know what like is going to be like said. I'm interested for sure. I mean, obviously the story of her abuse is very crazy, so and the crime is crazy, so that's what is talked about a lot. But I guess it'll be interesting to hear from her about like what it was like in the aftermath and like how she's moving on. If she wants to be an advocate again, like for mental health and Munchausen by proxy and stuff like that.
I feel like there's a part of me, and I'm sure you and like a lot of people watching, who are really rooting for her.
Yeah.
Like they want her to just be as happy and successful after prison as possible. And because, obviously because of what she went through, and you want people to just you want good things to happen in life, right? And I think the first impression with her out of prison is like, it looks like she's having a lot of fun. And,
Yeah.
it feels like, it's like almost like a wholesome feel good story in a really weird way. Like this part, the post, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
Hopefully forever.
Well, I hope she's able to make a difference, like, you know what I mean? Like what she wants to do is to help victims and people who are suffering from Munchausen's by proxy and help victims of Munchausen by proxy. So I hope that like she's able to really get into the advocacy work that she says she wants to be doing. I hope
she moves to Brooklyn.
Oh my God. Well, people were making jokes about her being in like the Heaven by Marc Jacobs campaign way before she was released.
Well, now it's time to do it. Now it's
time. And like Met Gala, I feel like she'll be there. Like I want her to have those, maybe just for my own like selfish desires to see that. But
I want to see Ryan walking down the street in like Eckhouse Lotta and like wearing like a cowboy hat.
Oh my! They moved to Bushwick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's like hooked up with some Tabbies.
Yes.
And she's wearing like Rick Owens.
She's like, yeah, I started a nonprofit to help abuse victims, and
I started a poetry collective.
we get together and write poetry.
Yeah, and it's also a gallery and art space, collaborative, complex, collective.
We meet at Ryan's Cafe every Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have like CBD diffuser.
Ryan's definitely doing CBD. Ryan is doing a lot of CBD.
He does not play about CBD.
Ryan does not play.
I still am not convinced it works, but maybe it does.
That's a good question.
True.
All right. We're gonna as our final topic, we're gonna review the movie Poor Things. But before we do, is there any other things on Gypsy Rose that you want to chat about?
Not particularly. I think like the main updates here is she's doing a lot of press. Her thing is coming out, her docuseries, and yeah, she continues to dominate pop culture.
Is it sad that I have like New York City pride that she chose to come here?
Yeah, I mean, it was Times Square that like...
Times Square is awesome.
Times Square is awesome. I was just there.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like... I mean, mind you, like, she did do some traveling when she was under the care of her mother, like through like Make-A-Wish Foundation and all of these like donations and like trips and stuff that her mother got for her, and mother got for herself, let's be honest. But anyway, like she's been around, but this is probably her first time like really traveling and experience, like being a tourist on her own terms as a free person.
And the D is fire.
I mean, all I can say is good for her.
She's kind of living the dream now.
Yeah, like what else do you need? Fire D, check. Famous, check.
Times Square,
check. Then boom. Lifetime series.
Check.
All right. Poor Things. Review.
Poor Things. So, Sophie, what is Poor Things?
Poor Things is a film by a director.
He's Greek?
Who's Greek. I have trouble pronouncing his name. I think it's Yorgos Frick.
Did it come out in 2023?
I think so. Maybe. It came out very recently.
All right,
technically 2023, but it's a new film. It's still in theaters. It is a film from Yorgos Lanthimos. I actually kind of got it right, I think. He is the director of some movies such as The Favorite and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, two movies that I do really like. Especially, I like The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
And The Lobster.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Killing of a Sacred Deer is quite good. I found that he's known for having like really wild movies. That's his thing. Really weird, strange movies. And this Poor Things felt a bit different because from his other films, because The Favorite is also a period piece. It's based on Queen Anne and like her political advisors. Like they have like a lesbian love affair and kind of thing is like drama and craziness. It's like a dark comedy. Like a lot of his movies are dark comedies. They're usually disturbing. Again, it's a period piece in the sense that Queen Anne was a real person. The characters were real people. Like some of them were real people. But unlike Poor Things, they do the costumes are, and like the set is relatively historically accurate. And then his other film, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, takes place in modern times, and it's a lot more. Same with The Favorite, like muted in color, kind of gray.
Well, the first half of
it was in
Poor Things was in black and white.
That's right.
It actually the first half of Poor Things reminded me a decent amount of Eraserhead.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that is a great observation.
Because it's black and white, takes place in like a steampunk environment that maybe is sort of based off like 100-ish years ago, but is clearly also not a real place because it's like a little bit fantastical.
Film.
So yeah, it's about a freaking
Yeah, Poor Things.
Poor Things. It's about I don't think this is too much spoilers. It's about
we might spoil.
We're going to
just so you
spoil
know,
some
yeah.
stuff. It's about a surgeon who finds a woman after she had committed suicide, but she was pregnant with a baby, and the baby was still alive. So they took the brain out of the baby and put it into the grown woman's body and brought the woman back to life. And
with
the baby's brain. So it's a baby's brain in a grown woman's body, and from there, it's kind of like Sophie, you said, it's like kind of like a Frankenstein story. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Frankenstein story. It's a very like twisted, surrealist, coming of age story.
Lots of gore because of the surgeries and stuff.
It takes place in like an alternate like universe of the like Victorian era, the 1890s. But again, like the costumes and the set design is like very surreal and fantastical and not completely historically accurate. Mind you, I do not really care like if it's going to be a surrealist film and it's like technically a period piece, I do not care if you are not historically accurate. So like that didn't bother me. I mean, the fashion was kind of like the big sleeves and stuff like that is accurate, but like it was like a fun like reimagining. It was like a fairy tale.
It was steampunk.
It was quite steampunk. So my favorite, like something I really enjoyed about it was the set design and the costumes.
Yes.
It gets
very horny.
Weird. It gets horny and weird very quickly. Much too quickly for my taste.
Yeah. I think so. Well, I mean, by the way, Sophie and I both enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great movie.
It was really fun to watch.
It's a very entertaining.
I definitely would recommend you watch it.
It's a whole adventure story. The thing though is like if you go on Letterboxd, you're gonna see the reviews are very polarizing because it's an awesome movie. Lots of people giving it 5 stars. It's so weird and disturbing and fun, and it's supposed to be disturbing, but like a core part of the movie is that the character Bella, who's the baby's brain inside of a grown woman, is a lot of her character growth and her adventure is driven by sex and like sexual adventures and her running away and having a lot of sex and even becoming a sex worker and all this stuff. And obviously it's outrageous, you know, because you have a baby's brain having sex with grown men.
And a baby's brain, also like a baby's understanding of the world and like vulnerability of a baby.
Yeah.
The lack of understanding of what's happening to you and like what's appropriate and what's, you know, so it's very disturbing because you're basically seeing like a very young child essentially be
like very
taken advantage of, and it feels very uncomfortable. And
the thing that's to be clear though is that the character Bella is like really, really, really horny. So it's like a horny baby, and clearly in the movie it's supposed to be disturbing and it's supposed to be evocative,
and maybe even a critique of men who are like into that idea of like an innocent, like naive girl and like taking advantage of her like really turns you on.
The men in the movie liked her more when she was like a baby brain than when she got more mature throughout the movie, right? Because they loved the idea of a beautiful woman with a baby brain that they could just have a lot of sex with.
That's the ideal for like a lot of men.
So it's interesting because a lot of people are saying through that perspective it is a very feminist movie,
right?
But there's also a lot of other people who are saying, why is it depicting, you know, her being essentially taken advantage of as something that's like an enlightening experience that's liberating. You know what I mean?
And also, like you said this earlier, she really doesn't display a lot of fear or disgust or like you kind of said, like the movie was sort of sending the message that like women inherently like want to be taken advantage of, and like because like sex is a pleasurable thing, but the fear of it or the personal boundaries are a learned thing and not natural, which you know what I mean? Which suggests like women inherently are craving sex. Sure, women crave sex, but like they want sex all the time, even if they say they don't want sex.
I feel like the movie treads a very fine line between like it's supposed to be disturbing, it's supposed to be shocking, and it's supposed to also send a message that like also like that certainly has truth to it, that like women are repressed sexually or whatever. But I feel like it just goes a little bit into the territory where it's sending like an implicit message that like actually the only reason women aren't going around and having a ton of sex with strangers is because of social pressures, without acknowledging actually there's actual like genuine like fear and anxiety of like being taken advantage of, and to depict an extremely naive baby as someone who's like super excited to have sex with every stranger. That doesn't it's a little weird.
And her whole journey is like viewed through the lens of like her sexuality.
Yeah.
I guess her relationship to sex changes as she grows more intelligent and mature.
Yeah.
But it's still, again, and like people saying that this film is feminist, I understand why they say this, because as I was watching it, I was definitely picking up on feminist ideas, like we mentioned earlier about how men are interested in like baby-brained women, basically, as like sex objects. That is true for sadly I think a decent portion of men to some extent, but again, like this film was written and directed by men, and when that's the case, I struggle to like latch on to the idea that this was like an explicitly feminist film. You might be able to, I think there were elements of that where that was intentional, like they were intentionally trying to comment like on that, or like include elements of feminism throughout the film. But I don't know, when no women were involved in the writing and directing, and I'm not, and this isn't about a representation thing, it's just like the people who are writing and creating the movie are men. So who's this, like, can they really make a feminist film is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of take a step back 20 feet, like, this movie could have been an amazing, excellent movie with zero sex in it whatsoever. So why choose to write a movie where the primary vector of growth and the thing that drives the plot is sex in the first place? You know what I mean?
It's like that quote that's like, I can't remember it exactly and who said it. I think it's from, I can't remember from, but
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, Abraham Lincoln once said that men make fun of women for looking at themselves in the mirror and for being vain, but that man is also the artist who paints the woman naked and like enjoys looking at her as he paints her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you see like the creator of the film, I know this quote doesn't exactly connect, but when you see the creators of this film make a movie that has some feminist undertones, but also shows her having a lot of it, like very explicit sex scenes, by the way. They're not just sex scenes, they're very like
long pornographic.
Yeah, sex scenes in like various positions.
You see like Emma Stone's like front completely naked.
Yeah, and men too. You see it a lot of stuff.
More penises in the movie.
It's true. And you see stuff in brothels, like so you see a lot of like really kinky, horny stuff. You see like basically almost everything you can see with sex there. I mean, not everything, but you know what I mean. It's like a lot of shit.
Everything.
You saw everything. It's all in there, and you can't help but like wonder. Okay, sure, there are some feminist undertones. Maybe they're critiquing the ethics or morals of said sex, but they're also the ones showing it a lot. Yeah, and it's like taking voyeuristic pleasure in writing these scenes.
It feels
they
horny.
Want to watch the scenes.
It feels horny. It's like, how could you simultaneously write a scene that feels like it's supposed to honestly depict exploitative sex, but then also kind of make it like horny as well? It's like a little bit weird.
I'm critiquing it, but I'm also like secretly putting it in because I think I'm enjoying it myself.
God knows.
I want to watch it.
Well, you know,
I can't help it. Like,
that's kind of how it feels when you're
watching. And I'm a fan
it.
of the director, by the way. I can't help but wonder if that was a part of this decision. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think like the conversation.
That's a lot of stories, by the way.
Yeah. True.
Like stories written by men that like women resonate with, because there are like,
Mario movie.
I haven't seen it, but if that's what helps you understand.
Minecraft movie coming soon
with Jack Black.
Jack Black. That's gonna be the feminist movie of the century.
True, but like yeah. So anyway, like there are a lot of like stories and art that like women resonate with, even when they are created by men, because you know, if you feel that they depict elements of the female experience really well. But then what usually happens is, and it's usually has to do with sex, that there's like something that's just like, oh, I really like this, but this part really makes me uncomfortable, and I feel like this is anti-woman, you know. But like you relate to the story in some ways, but then it's like ruined by like some scenes that are like really overly sexualized and feel exploitative and like horny in a bad way.
Well, I mean, from reading Twitter, I know that sex work and like how feminists should talk about and think about sex work is like one of the most controversial and debated topics in feminism. And the fact that it's like a bunch of men who are kind of like jumping right into it and saying
sex work's empowering.
Sex work is empowering. It's like,
that
whoa.
Coming from men is like a little bit, you gotta be a little critical of that.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, I think that sex work is portrayed as something that is easy and kind of a glamour, like just start OnlyFans, they'll make money in 2 seconds, and you know, you can pay for your mother's house and stuff like that. Like it's portrayed as a very glamorous get rich quick scheme, when in reality it is a super, for many women, a very dehumanizing, challenging career in which you're ostracized from your family and friends. You are judged by, you are simultaneously someone who people are like find sexually desirable. You're like an object of someone's fantasy, but at the same time those men judge you for being a whore, you know. Like men will be will look at naked videos of you, but they'll at the same time they'll judge you as a whore. You know, it's both things at the same time. Diseases, abuse, go on. Like sex work and like pornography is not an easy career. It's a very challenging career, and there are a lot of negative consequences. This is not a critique of women who go into the industry, because a lot of women are groomed into it. It's a necessity to survive. So there's nothing wrong with the women who decide to go into this, but I think the industry itself and the a lot of men who buy into it, I think it's a largely predatory system, and needs some serious reform. And I'm not anti-sex work. I'm just anti industry, if that makes sense.
Well, that's
my personal opinion.
When I go to the brothel, I am a gentleman and a half.
No.
I am the gentleman of the gentlemen. Whenever I go to a brothel, I always say, here's $1,000 for every lady in the office. They can have it, and I am doing absolutely nothing. And also, I'm going to tell all the fellow men in the city to do the same thing.
Woo! And that's basically what Poor Things is.
And then and then at the end, Poor Things, she becomes a socialist. The end.
Yeah, and I thought okay, that's just very okay.
Poor Things has gone woke.
It got woke, but anyway, one part of it that I actually did quite like, was the scene. There's a part of the film where, Bella becomes acquainted with her mother's past, because she is living in her mother's body, but she has her own independent brain. So she gets to know who her mother was, because she doesn't know this, because first of all, she didn't even know how she came to be. And then once she finds out, she encounters her mother's husband, who is technically because of the body she's in, her husband. Anyway, she goes to be with him for a bit, and she realizes how awful he is and abusive he is. And I don't know, I thought that was fascinating, because it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe as women, like you recognize that your mom goes through a lot, and you know your mother as your mom. You know, you don't really know much. You hear stories, but you never really truly know, like, who was my mom before I came to be. You know what I mean? And like in her own, like when she was a person before she like fulfilled the singular role as like a mother. You know what I mean? Or a wife. Like her as like a more independent person, I guess.
Well, this is definitely a part of the movie too where it gets a little bit trippy, because it's like she is both her mother and herself, because it's like she's sort of going back to the life she already had, but it wasn't her life, it was her mom's.
So like I feel like I can relate to that, like learning, like as I get older, as I begin to like resemble my mom more in age and appearance, and I get to understand like and also just getting older, like becoming more mature and like learning things about my mom's life, I begin to understand her more and like the things she went through. And I thought that was like a very interesting idea. That's just how I like related to that scene, I guess, or that part of the film. Being like, no one asks to be born, you know? You're just, and that's kind of what happened with Bella. Like Bella, without her mother's consent, without her consent, she came to be, you know? And I mean, we all have to live with that.
Yeah, that's so actually interesting, because they do portray them bringing Bella into existence as an ethical dilemma because it lacked consent. But like, it's so true. Every person's brought into existence without consent. So yeah, I don't know.
And you also like, and you do in a lot of ways inherit your parents' like physique and mentality and stuff like that. You know, if you read it like that. You know, you are in many ways like becoming your parents.
Yeah, so I would say with this movie, even though Sophie and I had a lot of weird, icky, strange feelings about it, and there's a lot of weird things to critique, ultimately it was a very entertaining movie and also very thought-provoking. Yeah. So that all together makes it like a movie we overall give a thumbs up.
And like there were a lot of really funny moments too.
It's funny,
and like I really enjoyed watching it. It's a really fun watch, and I loved seeing her do all her shenanigans and like get more mature and like learn things. I had a really fun time with it. It's like one of those movies. I think I talked about The Handmaiden like this, where I like love I love most of the movie, but the sex scenes feel really like horny and exploitative and like
it's supposed to be a little bit pornographic,
male gazy. I hate to use that term, but like male gazy.
It's a term for a reason.
Yeah, and the male gaze is like more accurate. Like it's the term was used to describe film specifically.
Today I learned.
How do you even respond? I'm just kidding. Ooh. So that term was created in reference to film specifically, and now it's used in like real life, so it doesn't really make sense. People using it wrong all the time, but it's made to describe film. So me using the term male gaze actually applies here. They feel male gazy. They feel like they are there to sexually excite the male viewers or even the creators of the film itself.
Well, yeah, and also.
But there's a movie I love. Mess of movies I really like.
Yeah, and they're great. Yeah, Handmaiden's great. This movie's great, and I would say we recommend you watch it. And I would say even if you don't feel like watching it, but you should, go on the Poor Things Letterboxd and read the reviews, because you're going to see 5-star reviews and 5-star reviews, and it's so entertaining because you're going to see paragraphs and people with 5-star reviews saying it's like the most misogynist garbage you've ever seen, and 5-star reviews saying it's like the most beautiful feminist masterpiece ever. I always find it fun when I watch people on the internet lose their minds.
You're about to see some of the worst takes of all time on Letterboxd. Yes. I mean, as usual, Letterboxd like reviews are usually they're useful sometimes, but sometimes they're insane.
The nuanced base news network take, which gives it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I would say overall certified fresh.
Certified fresh, like, with a little bit of
like I would say we liked 75% of it.
Yeah, and we would be down to watch it again.
I kind of do want to watch it again, but just because I enjoyed watching it and I want to think about it more critically. But It is a long film, but it is a very like visually stunning, fun movie to watch. So I recommend I recommend it.
Yay. All right, well, I think that is the episode.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening or watching this podcast episode. Make sure to check out our Patreon for future Patreon content. And yeah, anything else, Kyle?
Nope.
All right. This has been Base News Network. Bye.
Bye.